The massive space station hung in the darkness like a crystal mountain. Nexus Prime was the heart of the Galactic Council, where alien races from across the galaxy came to make decisions. Today they would decide if humans could join their group. Taemin walked slowly through the long corridors. His old boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. At 67 years old, he had seen many things. Wars, peace, the rise and fall of nations. But he had never seen anything like this place. The walls glowed with strange lights, and the air hummed with alien technology he did not understand. Behind him, Hyejin carried a heavy case filled with Earth's best inventions. She was young, maybe 30, with bright eyes that took in everything around them. She had studied alien languages for years, preparing for this moment. But even she seemed small in this place, built by beings far more advanced than humans. "Ambassador Taemin," she whispered as they walked. "Are you nervous?" The old man smiled. "I stopped being nervous a long time ago, child. Fear is useful when it keeps you alive. But today we just need to watch and learn." They entered the great hall where the council met. The room was huge, bigger than any building Taemin had ever seen. 3 different alien races sat at curved tables that floated in the air without any support. The old engineer in him wondered how they did that, but he kept his face calm. The Vorthak looked like living crystals. Their bodies were clear and sharp, catching the light from 100 different angles. When they moved, they made soft ringing sounds like wind chimes. Their leader, Zenthara, sat perfectly still, watching the humans with eyes like blue diamonds. The Quillians were stranger still. They had bodies like giant squids, but they floated in the air instead of swimming in water. Their skin changed colors as they talked, flashing purple and green and gold. Long tentacles moved in patterns that Taemin guessed was their way of speaking without words. The Kresh were the most frightening. They looked like huge insects with 6 arms and hard shells that gleamed like black metal. Their eyes were like red jewels, and when they clicked their claws together, it sounded like breaking bones. "So," Zenthara spoke, and her voice was like music made of ice. "These are the humans from the small world called Earth." Taemin stepped forward and bowed slightly. "I am Ambassador Taemin. This is my aide, Hyejin. We come seeking membership in your council." The aliens looked at each other. Some of the Quillians flashed bright yellow, which Hyejin had learned meant they were amused. The Kresh clicked their claws in what might have been laughter. "Show us what your people have made," said Admiral Kreshtar, the biggest of the insect beings. "Show us why we should accept you." Hyejin opened their case and activated the holographic display. Images of Earth's greatest achievements appeared in the air. Rockets that could reach space, computers that could solve complex problems, nuclear power plants that could light entire cities. The aliens watched in silence. Then the sounds began. Soft ringing from the Vorthak. Color flashes from the Quillians. Clicking from the Kresh, they were laughing. "Chemical rockets?" Zenthara's voice carried clear amusement. "You still use controlled explosions to leave your world?" "Their computers use electricity," flashed a Quillian in rapid color changes. "Like counting on your fingers, but slower." "And they burn things for power," clicked Admiral Kreshitar. "They make fire like cave dwellers and think it makes them advanced." Taemin felt Hyejin stiffen beside him, but he put a gentle hand on her arm. His face showed nothing. He had been a soldier once, and soldiers learned to hide their feelings. "Your people are quaint," said Zenthara. "You play with fire and explosions like children. We use gravity itself to power our ships. We fold space to travel between stars in moments. We control the very atoms that make up matter." The Vorthak leader gestured, and the air around her began to glow. Tiny lights danced in patterns that hurt to look at directly. "This is real technology, human. Not your crude burning of chemicals." A Quillian spoke in flashing colors that the translation device turned into words. "Perhaps they could be useful as workers. Their small brains might be good for simple tasks." "Yes," agreed Admiral Kreshtar. "They could maintain our equipment, clean our ships, dig materials from their world to sell to real civilizations." The aliens talked among themselves for several minutes, speaking in languages and lights and sounds that the humans could not follow. Finally, Zenthara turned back to them. "We will grant your people provisional membership," she announced. "You will have access to basic trade routes and simple technologies. In return, you will provide raw materials and labor to the more advanced worlds. Think of it as an honor," flashed the Quillian, "to serve those greater than yourselves." Taemin bowed again. "We accept your generous offer." As they left the great hall, Hyejin could barely contain herself. How can you be so calm? She whispered. They treated us like children. Like animals. The old man was quiet until they reached their small ship. Inside, away from alien ears, he finally spoke. Tell me, Hyejin, what did you notice about their technology? She frowned. It's far beyond ours. The floating tables, the gravity control, the way they manipulate matter itself. Yes, Taemin nodded. Very impressive. But did you see any fire, any heat, any simple chemical reactions? No, of course not. They said such things are primitive. Taemin smiled, and for a moment he looked like the young engineer he had once been. Primitive. Yes, they used that word many times. He moved to a viewport and looked out at the alien station. Do you know what I learned in my years as a soldier, child? What? The most dangerous enemy is the one who thinks you are no threat at all. He turned back to her, his old eyes bright with something that might have been hope. They have forgotten something important. Fire is not just primitive burning. Fire is the heart of the stars themselves. It is the force that lights the universe. I don't understand. You will, Taemin said quietly. We have much work to do when we return to Earth. The aliens think we are harmless because we use fire and explosions. They have grown so advanced that they have forgotten where all energy truly comes from. As their ship prepared to leave the station, Taemin watched the alien vessels moving gracefully through space without any visible means of propulsion. They were beautiful and terrible and completely confident in their superiority. But the old man had spent his life studying how things worked, how they could be broken, and how they could be made better. And he had seen something in the aliens' perfect technology that they themselves had forgotten. Sometimes the oldest ways were not primitive at all. Sometimes they were just waiting for the right moment to remind the universe of their power. 6 months had passed since the meeting at Nexus Prime. Earth was now officially part of the Galactic Council, but it did not feel like an honor. It felt like being a servant in someone else's house. Jinwoo sat at his desk in the new trade center that had been built in Seoul. The building was a mix of human and alien technology, with floating displays and gravity lifts that still amazed visitors. But Jinwoo was not amazed anymore. He was frustrated. The contract is simple, the Quillian trade representative flashed in rapid colors. The translation device turned the lights into words, but Jinwoo could hear the amusement in the alien's tone. Your people will provide labor for our mining operations on the outer worlds. We will pay in basic technologies and raw credits. Jinwoo looked at the holographic contract floating between them. The numbers were terrible. Humans would work for 12 hours a day in dangerous conditions, and the pay was barely enough to buy food. This is not acceptable, Jinwoo said carefully. Our people are skilled workers, not slaves. We can contribute much more than simple labor. The Quillian's skin flashed bright yellow, the color of laughter. Contribute? You use chemical rockets and burn fossil fuels. What could you possibly contribute to advanced civilizations? Before Jinwoo could answer, his communicator buzzed. It was a message from Dr. So Young at the Advanced Propulsion Research Institute. She wanted to meet with him urgently. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Taemin walked through the laboratories where Earth's best scientists worked. The place hummed with activity, but it was quiet activity. Secret activity. Dr. So Young met him at the main lab. She was a small woman with gray hair and intense eyes that never seemed to rest. Behind her, a young man named Dong Hyun was bent over a complex device that mixed human and alien components. Show me what you have found, Taemin said. Dr. So Young led him to a sealed chamber where captured alien technology was being studied. Inside, a Vorthak gravity manipulator floated in perfect stillness. The crystal device was beautiful, casting rainbow patterns on the walls. We have been testing their equipment for months, Dr. So Young explained. Their technology is impressive, but it has weaknesses they do not see. She activated a control panel, and the chamber filled with instruments. Watch this, she said. A small device dropped into the chamber and exploded with a bright flash. It was just a simple chemical reaction, the kind of explosion humans had been making for hundreds of years. But when the heat and light hit the alien device, something amazing happened. The gravity manipulator flickered and went dark. The beautiful crystal cracked and pieces fell to the floor. Thermal shock, Donghyun explained excitedly. Their systems are designed to handle particle beams and energy weapons, but they cannot deal with rapid temperature changes. Taemin stared at the broken alien device. They have never faced chemical explosions? More than that, Dr. So Young said. Their shields are tuned for specific frequencies. Chemical reactions create electromagnetic pulses across a wide spectrum. Their computers cannot process that kind of chaos. The old man smiled slowly. So their advancement has become their weakness. Exactly. They have built everything around clean, controlled energy. They have forgotten that some of the most powerful forces in the universe are chaotic and unpredictable. In space above Earth, alien patrol ships moved in perfect formation. The crews were bored. Watching humans was easy duty. The primitive planet had only basic satellites and simple rockets that moved predictably through space. Admiral Kreshitar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the human vessels through the main display. The ships were crude things, powered by chemical rockets and guided by simple computers. They posed no threat to his advanced fleet. "Shall we run another training exercise?" asked his second-in-command. "The humans enjoy watching our ships dance through their defenses." The admiral clicked his claws in amusement. "Yes. Show them again how easily we can disable their satellites. Perhaps they will learn to be more grateful for our protection." The alien ships moved like liquid light, appearing and disappearing as they played with human technology. In minutes, they had surrounded 3 defense satellites and shut them down without firing a shot. The human ships that came to investigate were left behind as the aliens simply folded space around themselves and vanished. On Earth, military leaders watched the display with growing anger. General Park slammed his fist on the table in the command center. "They are playing with us," he said, "like cats with mice." "That is exactly right," said a quiet voice from the back of the room. Everyone turned to see Taemin entering the command center. "They do think we are mice, harmless creatures that exist for their amusement." "So what do?" General Park asked. "Our weapons cannot touch them. Their shields stop everything we have. We stop thinking like mice," Taemin said, "and we start thinking like humans." He moved to the main display and called up images of the alien technology they had been studying. "Dr. So-Young has made important discoveries. Our enemies have a weakness they do not know about." "What weakness?" "They have forgotten fire." The room was quiet as Taemin explained what the scientists had learned. The aliens were so advanced that they had never developed defenses against primitive chemical reactions. Their shields could stop laser beams and particle weapons, but they could not handle the chaos of a simple explosion. "You want us to fight starships with firecrackers?" General Park sounded doubtful. "Not firecrackers," Taemin said. "But fire, yes. The same fire that powers our rockets, our engines, our civilization. The fire they think makes us primitive." He turned to address the whole room. "They laugh at our chemical rockets. They mock our combustion engines. They think we are children playing with matches, aren't we?" someone asked. The old man smiled. "A match is a small thing, but it can start a forest fire. And fire, General. Fire can burn down their entire world." Over the following weeks, secret meetings took place in hidden locations across Earth. Scientists, engineers, and military officers worked together on projects that had no official names. Supplies were moved quietly. Factories that made car engines were converted to make other things. Things that looked harmless but were not. Hyejin traveled between Earth and the alien stations, gathering information while pretending to negotiate trade deals. She learned about alien ship designs, their patrol routes, their communication systems. The aliens were happy to share such information with a primitive human who could not possibly use it against them. Jae-sung worked in the communication centers, learning how alien networks operated. He discovered that their quantum communication systems had backup protocols that relied on standard radio waves, the same waves humans had been using for over a century. All the while, the aliens continued to treat humans as useful servants. Crash mining operations used human workers in dangerous asteroid fields. Quillian factories employed humans to maintain equipment too delicate for robot hands. Vorthak research stations hired humans to perform simple calculations that their quantum computers considered beneath their processing power. The aliens were happy. The humans seemed content with their role as junior partners in galactic civilization. Earth provided cheap labor and raw materials without complaint. The primitive world was learning its place in the greater order of things. But in secret laboratories and hidden workshops, the fire that had built human civilization was being shaped into something new. Something the aliens had never seen before. Something that would remind them that some flames burn hot enough to melt even crystal stars. Dr. So-Young stood in the deep underground laboratory, 3 kilometers beneath Seoul. The facility had been built in secret over the past 8 months, hidden from alien sensors by layers of earth and metal. Here, humanity's brightest minds worked on projects that would have seemed impossible a year ago. "Show me the results again," she said to Minho, who stood beside a testing chamber. Minho was young but brilliant, an expert in explosives who had spent his career making controlled blasts for mining and construction. Now he was learning to make controlled blasts for something very different. "The thermal disruptor works perfectly," he said, activating the chamber. Inside, a small device that looked like a simple firework sat next to a piece of Vorthak technology. "Watch this." The device activated with a soft pop. To human eyes, it looked like nothing more than a small flash of light and heat, but the alien equipment began to shake, its crystalline structure vibrating as the thermal energy disrupted its quantum matrix. Within seconds, the sophisticated device cracked and went dark. "The heat signature is too chaotic for their systems to process," explained Yunji, a systems specialist who had been working on integrating human and alien technology. "Their computers expect clean, predictable energy patterns. Chemical reactions create thermal and electromagnetic signatures that their shields cannot understand." Dr. So-young nodded with satisfaction. "And the larger versions?" Minho grinned. "Come see for yourself." They walked to another chamber, this one much bigger. Inside was a device the size of a car engine, but it had been modified with alien power cores and human chemical reactors. Cables and pipes connected human steel to alien crystal in patterns that would have horrified purists from both civilizations. "We call it a cascade disruptor," Yunji said. "It uses their own power sources to create a controlled chemical reaction. The result is thermal chaos on a massive scale." "How massive?" "Large enough to disable an entire alien battleship," Minho said quietly. "We tested it on a captured Kresh fighter. The ship went completely dead in less than a minute." Dr. So-young smiled for the first time in months. "And they still think we are harmless?" "Completely," said Yunji. "Ambassador He-jin reports that they consider our research requests amusing. They think we are trying to copy their technology like children playing with toys they do not understand." Across the city, Taimin met with General Park in another secure location. The old ambassador had traded his diplomatic clothes for the practical uniform of an engineering consultant. At his age, he found comfort in working with his hands again. "The weapon systems are ready," General Park reported. "Our ships have been modified to carry the thermal disruptors, but they still look like ordinary patrol vessels to alien sensors." "Good," Taimin said. "What about the larger project?" "Project Prometheus is ahead of schedule. The facility on Mars is operational and appears to be a normal mining platform. The aliens have inspected it twice and found nothing suspicious." Taimin studied the holographic displays showing their preparations. Hidden across the solar system, human forces were positioning themselves for something the aliens could not imagine. Modified cargo ships carried weapons that looked like industrial equipment. Research stations that appeared to study geology were actually analyzing alien weaknesses. Even the new space elevator that the aliens had helped Earth build contained hidden systems that could be activated at the right moment. "And our people in the alien facilities?" "Jae-sung has done excellent work," General Park said. "We now have communication specialists working on every major alien station and ship in this system. They think our people are just maintaining their equipment, but they are actually preparing to disable it." On Nexus Prime, Hyejin attended another trade meeting. The aliens had grown even more confident over the past months. Earth was proving to be exactly what they had hoped, a source of cheap labor and raw materials that caused no trouble. "Your people have adapted well to their role," said Zenthara, her crystal form glowing with satisfaction. "The Kresh report that human workers are very efficient in dangerous environments. We are grateful for the opportunity to serve," Heejin replied, hiding her true feelings behind diplomatic words. "There is talk of expanding human responsibilities," added a Quillian representative, its skin flashing pleased colors. "Perhaps your people could maintain our automated systems on the outer worlds. Simple work, but important." "We would be honored," Hyejin said. What the aliens did not know was that every human worker they employed was also gathering intelligence. Engineers learned the specifications of alien ships. Maintenance workers mapped the layouts of alien stations. Communication specialists discovered the passwords and protocols that controlled alien networks. The aliens were so certain of their superiority that they never thought to hide anything from the primitive humans. Why would they? What could a species that still used chemical rockets possibly do with advanced quantum technology? Meanwhile, on Mars, Dr. So-Young oversaw the final preparations for Project Prometheus. The massive facility was disguised as a mining operation, complete with human workers who actually were extracting minerals from the red planet. But hidden deep beneath the surface was something that would have terrified the aliens if they had known what it was. "The fusion core is stable," reported Dong-hyun, who had become her chief assistant on the project. "We can maintain a controlled reaction at solar core temperatures. And the focusing system? Perfect. The alien gravity manipulators work exactly as we hoped. We can focus the thermal beam with pinpoint accuracy across the entire solar system." Dr. So-Young looked at the readings with satisfaction. The aliens had helped them build this weapon by providing advanced materials and focusing systems, thinking they were helping primitive humans improve their mining operations. The irony was almost funny. "How long can we maintain full power?" "As long as we have fuel," Dong-hyun said. "And we have enough fuel to burn for 1,000 years." Back on Earth, secret messages traveled through hidden networks. Human agents on alien ships reported their positions. Workers in alien facilities prepared to sabotage critical systems. Modified human vessels moved into position throughout the solar system, disguised as routine patrols and cargo runs. The aliens noticed none of this. Why should they? Humans were predictable creatures who followed orders and caused no trouble. Their ships moved in simple patterns that any alien computer could track. Their communications used primitive encryption that alien systems could break in seconds. Their weapons were crude chemical devices that could not penetrate even basic alien shields. Admiral Kreshitar stood on his bridge, watching human patrol ships move through their assigned routes. The vessels looked exactly like what they were supposed to be: primitive craft with chemical rockets and simple computer systems. His sensors detected no unusual weapons, no hidden systems, no threats of any kind. "The humans have learned their place well," he commented to his officers. "Perhaps we were too cautious in our initial assessment. They may be primitive, but they are obedient." What he did not know was that Commander Yu-jin was aboard one of those primitive human ships, watching his powerful alien fleet through sensors that had been carefully modified to appear simple and harmless. Yu-jin was a veteran of Earth's space forces, and she had spent months learning everything about alien technology. "All ships report ready," she said quietly into her communicator. The message was encrypted with a simple code that looked like routine patrol chatter to alien computers, but carried vital information to human forces throughout the system. In the depths of space, human ships took their final positions. On alien stations, human workers made their last preparations. In underground laboratories, scientists made final checks on weapons that combined the oldest human technology with the most advanced alien systems. The aliens had laughed at human fire. They had mocked human explosions. They had dismissed human chemistry as the crude science of primitives. They were about to learn that fire was not primitive at all. Fire was the force that powered the stars themselves. And humans had been learning to control that force since the dawn of their civilization. The trap was set. The weapons were ready. And the aliens suspected nothing at all. The message from the Galactic Council arrived on a Tuesday morning, transmitted through quantum channels directly to Earth's government centers. Hee-jin read it first, and her face went pale as she understood what the aliens were demanding. "They want our outer colonies," she told the emergency meeting in Seoul. The room was filled with Earth's leaders, both military and civilian. All human settlements beyond Mars must be surrendered for proper administration by the Council. President Kim read the formal declaration aloud. Her voice was steady, but anger showed in her eyes. "The human species has proven unable to manage interstellar territories in a manner befitting civilized galactic society. For the safety and development of these regions, the Galactic Council will assume direct control of all human colonies beyond the fourth planet of your system." "They are taking our children," said General Park quietly. "Those colonies have families, people who have lived there for generations. The Council gives us 30 days to comply," Hee-jin continued. "If we refuse, they will use what they call enforcement action to remove human presence from the outer worlds." The room was silent for a moment. Then Taemin spoke from his seat near the back. "How many ships will they send?" "Intelligence reports suggest all 3 Council fleets," General Park answered. The Vorthak Crystal Armada, the Quillian Deep Fleet, and the Kresh War Swarms. Perhaps 300 ships total. All of them, Taman said thoughtfully. They are bringing everything they have to deal with primitive humans and their chemical rockets. President Kim turned to the old ambassador. What do you recommend? Taman stood slowly. At his age, quick movements were difficult, but his mind was as sharp as ever. I recommend we give them exactly what they expect to see. Over the next 3 weeks, Earth appeared to prepare for surrender. Government announcements spoke of negotiating the best possible terms for our people. Human ships began withdrawing from the outer system, pulling back toward Earth in what looked like a complete retreat. The aliens were pleased. Admiral Kreshtar sent messages to his commanders, describing the human response as appropriately realistic. The Vorthak leadership praised Earth's wise acceptance of galactic order. Even the Quillians flashed approving colors when discussing humanity's quick surrender, but beneath the surface, other preparations were taking place. Commander Yujin received her final orders in a secure communication from General Park. All units are to maintain the appearance of retreat while taking final positions. The enemy must believe we are helpless until the moment we strike. Her modified ships spread throughout the solar system, disguised as cargo vessels and patrol craft. To alien sensors, they looked exactly like what they claimed to be: primitive human ships with simple chemical propulsion and basic weapons. The aliens saw no threat in vessels that could barely leave their own planet. On Mars, Dr. So-Young made final adjustments to Project Prometheus. The massive fusion facility had been built inside an old mining complex, hidden beneath kilometers of rock and metal. From space, it looked like any other industrial site on the Red Planet. All systems show green, reported Dong-Hyun from the control center. We can achieve full power in less than 60 seconds. And the targeting system? Perfect alignment with all predicted enemy positions. The alien gravity manipulators we borrowed make excellent focusing arrays. Dr. So-Young smiled at the irony. The aliens had provided the very technology that would be used against them. Thinking they were helping primitive humans improve their mining operations? Back on Earth, Yoonji completed the final installation of thermal disruptors throughout the planet's defense network. What looked like ordinary power stations and communication arrays now contained weapons that could disable alien technology at a moment's notice. The Cascade system is ready, she reported to Taman during one of his visits to the underground facility. One signal from us will activate thermal disruptors on every human installation in the system. And our people on the alien ships? Jae-sung has confirmed that all sabotage teams are in position. They still think our workers are just maintaining their equipment. The aliens had no idea that human engineers had been quietly modifying their systems for months. Critical components had been replaced with parts that would fail when exposed to specific thermal signatures. Computer systems had been adjusted to crash when they encountered electromagnetic patterns that only human weapons could produce. On Nexus Prime, Hyjin attended what the aliens believed would be the final surrender ceremony. The Great Hall was filled with representatives from all 3 council fleets, gathered to witness humanity's complete submission. Your species has made the wise choice, Zenthara announced, her crystal form glowing with satisfaction. The outer colonies will be much better managed by those with proper experience in galactic administration. We understand, Hyjin replied, keeping her voice humble. We know that we are not ready for such responsibilities. What the aliens did not know was that hidden in her diplomatic case was a quantum communicator that could send a signal to every human ship and station in the system, the signal that would begin their counterattack. As the deadline approached, the 3 council fleets moved into position around Earth. Admiral Kreshitar commanded from his flagship, a massive vessel that bristled with weapons designed to destroy entire planets. The Vorthak ships were elegant crystal structures that could manipulate space itself. The Quillian vessels looked like living creatures, their hulls shifting and flowing as they moved through space. Maintain formation, Admiral Kreshitar ordered his fleet. The humans will surrender peacefully, but we must be prepared for any foolish resistance from primitive minds that do not understand their situation. His sensors showed exactly what he expected to see. Human ships were scattered throughout the system in disorganized patterns, clearly trying to escape but moving too slowly to avoid capture. Their weapons were powered down, their shields inactive. It was the behavior of a defeated species that knew it could not fight. On the bridge of her hidden command ship, Commander Yu-jin watched the alien fleets take their positions. Everything was going according to plan. The aliens were confident, relaxed, and completely unprepared for what was about to happen. "All units report ready," her communications officer whispered. "Thermal disruptors are charged and targeting. Solutions are locked. Project Prometheus reports ready for activation," came another voice. "Sabotage teams confirm all alien systems are prepared for failure." Yu-jin nodded and opened a channel to Earth. "This is Commander Yu-jin to Earth Command. All human forces are in position and ready to engage." On Earth, Taemin sat in the command center with President Kim and General Park. Around them, displays showed the positions of every ship and station in the solar system. The aliens thought they were looking at a defeated human fleet. They had no idea they were looking at the largest trap in human history. "The ultimatum expires in 1 hour," General Park reported. "The aliens are broadcasting demands for immediate surrender." "Let them broadcast," said President Kim. "Our answer will be clear enough." Taemin stood and walked to the main communication console. He opened a channel that would reach every human unit in the system, as well as the alien fleets that thought they had already won. "This is Ambassador Taemin to all forces," he said quietly. "In 1 hour, the aliens will demand our surrender. They expect us to bow down because they think we are primitive. They believe our technology is crude and our weapons are harmless." He paused, looking at the displays showing hundreds of alien ships surrounding Earth. "They have forgotten something important. Fire is not primitive. Fire is the heart of every star. Fire is the force that lights the universe and powers everything that exists." His voice grew stronger as he continued. "For months, they have laughed at our flames. They have mocked our chemical reactions. They have treated us like children playing with dangerous toys." On alien ships throughout the system, translation systems picked up his broadcast. Alien commanders listened with amusement to what they thought was a desperate speech from a defeated enemy. "Today," Taemin said, "we will show them that some flames burn hot enough to melt their crystal stars." The countdown began. 60 minutes until the alien ultimatum expired. 60 minutes until the largest space battle in human history would begin. And the aliens still had no idea what was coming for them. The timer on the main display reached 0. Admiral Kreshtar opened a communication channel that would broadcast to Earth and every human installation in the solar system. His voice carried the authority of someone who had never been defied. "Humans of Earth," he announced, "your time has expired. Surrender your outer colonies immediately, or face the consequences of resisting the Galactic Council." On Earth, in the command center deep beneath Sol, Taemin stepped forward to the communication console. His old hands were steady as he activated the response channel. "Admiral Kreshtar," he said calmly, "I am Ambassador Taemin, speaking for all humanity. We have considered your demands carefully, and," the alien's voice carried complete confidence, "around Earth, 300 warships waited for the expected surrender. Our answer is no." Silence filled the communication channel for several seconds. Then Admiral Kreshtar's voice returned, filled with what might have been amusement. "No? You say no to the combined fleets of the Galactic Council? You primitive creatures with your chemical rockets and crude weapons?" "Yes," Taemin replied. "We say no. And Admiral, you laughed at our flames. Let us show you their true power." He activated a single control on the console. Across the solar system, every human unit received the same signal at the same moment. The battle began. Commander Yu-jin was the first to act. Her modified patrol ship had been drifting near the edge of the Kresh formation, ignored by alien sensors as just another harmless human vessel. But when Taemin's signal reached her, everything changed. "All weapons fire," she ordered. Her ship erupted with weapons that looked nothing like what the aliens expected. Instead of energy beams or kinetic projectiles, thermal disruptors launched what appeared to be simple chemical explosives. The alien shields activated automatically, designed to stop particle beams and plasma bolts. The shields did nothing against thermal chaos. The first Kresh destroyer died in seconds. The thermal disruptor created a pattern of heat and electromagnetic energy that the alien computers could not process. Shield generators overloaded, trying to analyze the chaotic signature. Life support systems crashed as their quantum processors encountered thermal patterns they had never been programmed to handle. Across the alien formation, similar scenes played out as human ships revealed their true nature. What had looked like cargo vessels and patrol craft suddenly bristled with weapons that created pure thermal havoc. The aliens' advanced shields, designed to stop the most sophisticated galactic weapons, collapsed against simple chemical reactions amplified by their own technology. Impossible. Admiral Kreshtar roared as his sensors showed ship after ship going dark. These are primitive weapons. Our shields should stop anything they can produce. His science officer's voice was filled with panic. Sir, their weapons are creating thermal signatures our computers cannot analyze. The chaos is overloading our processing systems. On Mars, Dr. So Young received Taemin's signal and immediately activated Project Prometheus. The massive fusion facility that had been disguised as a mining operation revealed its true purpose. Full power activation, she ordered. Target the Vorthak flagship. The facility's fusion core ignited, creating temperatures that matched the heart of a star. Alien gravity manipulators that the Vorthak had provided to help with mining operations focused that stellar fire into a beam of pure thermal energy. The beam lanced across space at the speed of light, invisible until it struck its target. The Vorthak flagship was protected by shields that could deflect the output of entire solar systems. But those shields were designed for clean, predictable energy patterns. The thermal beam from Prometheus was chaos given form. It carried the random thermal signature of stellar fusion, the most fundamental force in the universe. When it hit the flagship's shields, the protective systems tried to analyze and counter it. They failed. The beam punched through the shields like they were made of glass, striking the ship's crystalline hull. The thermal shock shattered the exotic matter that formed the vessel's structure. In seconds, the most powerful ship in the Vorthak fleet broke apart like a crystal dropped on stone. Zenthara's voice cut through the battle communications, filled with something that might have been fear. How is this possible? They are using stellar fire. How do primitives control stellar fire? Throughout the system, human sabotage teams activated their plans. Jae-sung and his people had spent months working on alien ships, trusted as simple maintenance workers. Now they revealed what they had really been doing. Thermal charges that looked like cleaning supplies detonated throughout alien vessels. The explosions were small, but they created exactly the right electromagnetic patterns to crash alien computer systems. Ships that had never known system failures suddenly found themselves blind and helpless. Their own workers are sabotaging our ships, came reports from across the alien fleet. The humans were planning this for months. On Nexus Prime, Hae-jin smiled as alarms began sounding throughout the station. The diplomatic case she had carried to so many meetings was not filled with documents. It contained a thermal disruptor specifically designed to disable the station's central computers. "What have you done?" demanded a Quillian official, its skin flashing panicked colors. "I have done what my people do best," Hae-jin replied calmly. "I have used fire to solve our problems." The station's gravity generators failed, sending aliens floating helplessly through corridors that had never known such chaos. Emergency systems tried to activate, but they too crashed when they encountered the thermal patterns that human weapons created. Back in the main battle, Admiral Kreshtar watched his fleet die around him. Ship after ship fell silent as human weapons did things that alien science said were impossible. The thermal chaos was spreading through his formation like a virus, crashing systems that had worked flawlessly for thousands of years. "All ships retreat," he ordered. "Fall back to safe distance." But there was no safe distance. Human ships that had seemed slow and clumsy suddenly revealed hidden speed as chemical rockets boosted by alien technology pushed them to velocities that should have torn them apart. Modified human vessels chased fleeing alien ships, their thermal weapons turning advanced starships into drifting hulks. Commander Yu-jin's voice came over the communications as her ship pursued a fleeing Kresh cruiser. "This is for treating us like animals," she said, and fired another thermal disruptor. The alien ship's engines exploded as thermal chaos overloaded their antimatter containment systems. The vessel tumbled helplessly through space, all power gone. On Earth, Taemin watched the battle displays with satisfaction. Around him, the command center buzzed with reports of success from across the system. "Vorthak flagship destroyed." Came one report. "Quillian Deep Fleet is retreating," came another. Admiral Kreshtar's command ship is drifting powerless, Yoonji's voice added to the reports. "All alien installations in the inner system have been neutralized. Their technology is completely shut down," Minho reported from his position. Thermal disruptors are working perfectly. The aliens cannot adapt to our weapons patterns. Within 3 hours it was over. The 3 most powerful fleets in the galaxy were destroyed or disabled, defeated by weapons that their own science said were impossible. Ships that had conquered star systems fell victim to chemical reactions that humans had been using since they discovered fire. The alien survivors found themselves prisoners on their own vessels, kept alive by human mercy, but helpless without their technology. Their advanced computers could not restart, while thermal patterns continued to disrupt their quantum processors. Admiral Kreshitar was brought aboard Yujin's ship under guard. The proud alien commander looked broken as he stared at the human officers around him. "How?" he asked quietly. "How did primitives defeat the most advanced technology in the galaxy?" Commander Yujin smiled. "We did not defeat your technology, Admiral. We used it. Your gravity manipulators focused our thermal beams. Your quantum processors crashed when they tried to analyze our chemical reactions. Your own advancement became your weakness, but fire," he said, confusion clear in his voice. "You used fire. Fire is primitive." "Fire is fundamental," Yujin corrected him. "Fire is the force that powers every star in the galaxy. You forgot that in your rush to build more advanced technology." Across the solar system, human crews worked to secure alien vessels and rescue alien survivors. There would be no massacre, no revenge killings. Humans had learned to be better than their enemies. But the message was clear to every surviving alien. The species they had laughed at, the primitives they had dismissed, the fire users they had mocked, were now the most powerful force in this part of the galaxy. And it had all started with flames they thought were harmless.